No one knows exactly when the first symbolic thought arose, when a scrap of ochre became a mark of belonging, or when a pattern etched into a rock transformed into a memory preserved outside the mind. But evidence hints that long before written language, these early humans sensed there was more to life than mere survival. The bones of their ancestors were sometimes arranged in deliberate ways. The dead were occasionally covered with flowers or placed in shallow graves. These were not acts of practicality, but of reverence. To honor the fallen was to admit that something invisible, yet precious, connected them all. Around their fires, the early humans likely shared gestures that carried meaning richer than any sound alone. A hand tracing the arc of the sun across the sky, a finger pressed to the earth to remind others where danger had come before. In these moments, story was born, not as entertainment, but as a lifeline. To share knowledge was to increase everyone's chance of survival. To share hope was to remind the tribe that tomorrow could still be claimed. They began to notice the patterns of nature with a depth no creature before had achieved. Migrations of herds, the cycles of the moon, the blooming of specific plants. These observations became a kind of unwritten calendar. With each new insight, the line between survival and understanding blurred further. And still, their hearts reached for more. Why did the rains come and go? Why did life spark and vanish? Though they had no names for divinity, the early humans carried a sense that existence was bound by forces beyond their grasp. In those long nights under endless stars, they looked up and felt wonder. They looked at one another and felt belonging. This was the dawn of something sacred, the search for meaning that would outlast their bones. Generation after generation, the line between instinct and intention grew fainter. Children learned from their elders not only how to survive, but why it mattered that they did. Each lesson became a thread in a tapestry of shared purpose. Some threads were woven from hardship. The memory of hunger and loss taught them to prepare and to care. Others were spun from triumph, the moment when a dangerous beast was driven away, or when a new tool reshaped what was possible. These collective victories bound them closer than any fear could. Slowly, they began to see themselves as something apart from the beasts around them. Though their bodies were fragile, their minds were capable of imagining a world that did not yet exist. That was the secret no other creature possessed: the power to dream, to plan, to create a vision of tomorrow. In the eyes of their children, they glimpsed a hope that was bigger than any single life. They did not have words for legacy, but they felt it. Every tool left behind was a promise that knowledge could outlast the body. Every story shared by firelight was a testament that ideas were stronger than death itself. Today, as we look back across 4 million years of struggle and triumph, we see that humanity was never about perfection. We were shaped by forces that demanded growth and change. Our greatest strength was never our muscles or our weapons. It was our shared belief that life could hold purpose beyond survival. This is why the question still echoes in our hearts. Why were we created? Was it merely chance, or something more? The answer is hidden in the way we still look for meaning, still build connections, still choose to care. If this story resonates with you, let it be a reminder. You carry the same spark that drove your ancestors to rise, to question, to imagine a world they had never seen. The search for purpose did not end when they walked into the dawn. It lives in you, waiting to be claimed. 4 million years ago, the Earth was a world unrecognizable to us today. Vast grasslands stretched as far as the eye could see, broken by towering groves of fig trees and dense thickets where predators waited with eyes gleaming in the dark. The air shimmered with heat during the day and dropped bone-chilling cold at night. Thunderstorms would roll over the plains without warning, drenching the soil and leaving behind a scent of raw, living earth. It was here, in this place of extremes, that the first sparks of humanity flickered to life. Life was never gentle. Every creature existed within a delicate balance. Saber-tooths, with their curved fangs like polished ivory knives, stalked the shadows. Giant, lumbering ancestors of elephants moved like living mountains across the horizon. Small primates clung to branches, peering down with anxious eyes, aware that at any moment the order of things could collapse into violence. Mid this theater of survival, a few curious primates began to walk upright more often, freeing their hands to carry stones, branches, and eventually ideas. In this crucible of risk and opportunity, Early hominins faced decisions no animal had ever confronted. Whether to explore farther than any had dared, whether to trust others with food or shelter, whether to challenge the order of things or accept the safety of the familiar. These choices would ripple across countless generations, shaping not just their bodies, but their minds. Though they did not have language in any form we'd recognize, they shared meaning through gesture and expression. A look could warn of danger. A hand placed on another's shoulder could calm panic or affirm belonging. This primitive communion would become the first seeds of empathy, a trait that would prove more powerful than any tooth or claw. And yet, for every step forward, nature offered tests. A sudden drought would strip the land of food. A flood would drown burrows and scatter the herds. Fire would split the night with orange spears of terror and wonder. Each calamity forced these early humans to adapt or perish. Survival demanded more than strength, it required imagination. In this age before time had a name, existence was not guaranteed, and life itself seemed almost indifferent. But within these fragile beings was something no other creature possessed, a restless hunger to understand. They would not merely endure their world, they would try to shape it. To rise each morning in this ancient landscape was to enter an unending contest of will. There were no maps, no predictable rhythms to rely on. Food did not wait patiently to be gathered. Every meal was an expedition fraught with risk. The early hominins combed riverbeds for roots, cracked bones for marrow, scavenged abandoned kills with a mixture of fear and daring. Their hands learned the weight of stone and the feel of rough bark. What began as curiosity slowly became technique. The act of using tools marked the first division between the merely living and the consciously evolving. At first, the stones were nothing but blunt instruments for smashing and digging. But over time, the fragments of flint and obsidian were shaped with intention. Edges became sharper, strikes more precise. The moment a creature began to imagine a different future, to see not just what a thing was, but what it could become, a transformation unfolded that would define our species. Their minds began to store memories more vividly. Hidden water source discovered in one season might save the group in another. A successful strategy to drive predators away became a lesson passed down through demonstration and mimicry. These were the earliest libraries' knowledge preserved not in words but in action. Though the struggle for survival never relented, it grew interwoven with a second, subtler pursuit: understanding. When an early human paused to study the shape of a footprint or the way a bird circled overhead, it was a testament to the mind's power to predict, to wonder. As their awareness deepened, so too did their bonds with one another. No longer was existence only a solitary fight. They began to rely on shared vigilance. One would keep watch while others slept. A wounded companion might be defended rather than abandoned. This fragile alliance became the first flicker of society, a fragile web held together by trust and necessity. Yet the land remained a place of brutal lessons. Even the most prepared could vanish beneath the claws of a predator or succumb to a night's cold. Each loss tested the limits of their resilience. But through grief, they discovered something no other animal shared: the capacity to remember and to care. In that crucible of sorrow and persistence, something resembling purpose began to form.